Hi, it's Sam and I'm back with another video for lawnfawn. Today I'm making a card using the new How You Bean Money add-on dies and stamps, Whoosh Kite stamps and dies, Diorama sunburst window add-on, stitched sentiment banners, and the Really Rainbow and pint-sized patterns paper pads. I am starting my card today the same way I always start my cards, by coloring the images. I do forget initially to show you all the colors I use. I apologize. It slipped my mind completely until the very end. I color all the mice the same way. I start by using my middle shade and then a slightly damp, almost dry water brush to pull the color out. Then I go back on top with my darkest color, tiny bit where I want the shadow to be, back to the middle color to pull it out, and then the lightest color to blend it all together. And then for their little bellies, just the two lightest colors, and that's it. I am adding pink to their cheeks and ears like I always do. The ears and the cheeks are always the same color 99% of the time when I color them. And I just like that little blush on these little critters. As you can see, I'm not coloring the roll of string because these images, the mice images, are from the new Whoosh Kites set. They're supposed to be holding the kite strings. I'm going to be covering all of their little kite strings up with the money once I get to making the card. So I knew I wasn't going to color them because I didn't need to. I didn't need to waste the time or ink or energy. And I will show you that when we get to putting the card together. Next, I'm moving on to coloring the coins. All of the coins are colored the same exact way. I'm using the same brown for the mice, the medium brown, as the darkest shade of my coin, and then a medium yellow to pull it out, and then my brightest yellow at the end, and then just the very slightly, not very damp at all, water brush to pull out the color so that it gives it a nice contrast, even though it's a tiny little image. The speech bubble, oh, sorry, I thought I was coloring a speech bubble next, but I'm coloring the clouds. I love these little clouds. They're a unique shape and different from some of the other lawnfawn sets, so they were super fun to color. I'm just using two grays, my darkest gray, in two little areas, pulling it out with a water brush, then using the darkest color again, and pulling it out with my lightest color. And then, as you can see, just using a dry paper towel to damp away any excess water that was on the image. And they were super easy to color. Done. Next up is the speech bubble. And I'm just using two shades of like a tealish, almost sky color, dark on the bottom, light on the top. Not a lot of, only two markers, not three. Not a lot of issue, because with the sentiment in it, it doesn't need to be perfect. I'm using the same two colors I used for the speech bubble in the middle of the dollars, except instead of using a water brush to pull out the color, I'm using a minty green, and that makes this perfect little mint green color in my dollar bill, and I love it. And I love how you can use the same markers in two different ways and get two different colors. I mean, I honestly probably only used maybe less than 10 markers total on this card, because I just reused the same colors in different ways for the images. And I love how that keeps things kind of close together and keeps the colors in the same side of the color wheel, if you will. I am using the traditional darker greens for the outside of my monies, and I do like that contrast. I'm using the darkest green, a middle green to pull it out, and then like my very yellow green for the highlighted areas. And then I am going to go over everything eventually, once it's all dry, with a white gel pen to add some details, and then I die cut them all out. And that is my sweet little images. I can't wait. Here is where I show you my colors. I am using May green, green, and yellow green for the outside edge dollars. Inside of the dollars, I'm using turquoise green, light blue, and pale green. For the coins, I am using mustard, yellow, and lemon yellow. For the speech bubble, I'm using turquoise green and light blue. For the mice, I'm using mustard, natural beige, and dark brown. And for the little blush in the ears, I'm using pale orange and light carmine. Okay, now we're going to make the card. I'm using the Tada Diorama stamp set. The big ticket panel I die cut twice, once from some rainbow paper and once from some sunny paper. Then I use this tiny little pull tab to die cut from the same rainbow paper. I die cut the purple grid 2 times with the large rectangle. I lined up the little foot tab with the straight edge against the small perforated line and on each side so that they are opposites, mirror opposites of each other, mirror images. I also die cut out the hills from white cardstock, and I'm just going to do some distress inking really fast in 2 colors, mowed lawn and twisted citron. It is quick ink blending because you're not going to be able to see much of these hills, and they're not the focus. The focus is going to be the images and the actual Tada diorama. So not much to do there. I'm just using my bone folder to fold all the perforated images from our die cuts. I'm folding this panel in half like a book, and then folding the small edge towards itself. Same with the other panel, using it just to get the crisp, clean lines. And then we're going to put it together. You're only going to put adhesive on the smallest panel. You want to leave a little bit of room on your back panel at the top and the bottom. I made the mistake here of not placing my little door pieces, the purple doors, all the way to the edge, but you do want to move them all the way to the edge. Just leave some room at the top and bottom. And then I'm going to add some adhesive only to those small little tabs on these, and then you can attach them right in the middle of the sunburst die cut area and the edge. There's a perfect amount of room to line it up, and it won't be seen on the front. Then you're going to fold over all the tabs on your hillsides and then stick them through our little slots that were die cut with that little foot die. And that is almost done. Once they're through the slots, you just open up the folded over tabs so that they can't fall out. And then you can slide your other sides of your doors through our little loops on the inside of our sun panel, and that is the die. It was so easy. There's not a lot of adhesive, and it works so easily. I use the smallest die, banner die, to die cut out the from vellum, and I'm just going to heat emboss the sentiment in white, and then it's going to be time to put the card together. And it says you're 1 in a million because obviously these mice are millionaires. This little guy is so excited. He's got all his monies that he just has. And as you can see with this one, I cut a little bit of his bottom so I could put him on that front panel and he would go in and out of my Tada diorama mechanism. Then I'm going to add a few more of the coins on that middle hill, and it's making sure it still opens and closes. I'm just adding the clouds using the lawnfawn glue and just gluing everything directly to the papers, adding a few clouds to the background. Now I'm going to decorate the front. I'm just making sure it fits. It got stuck a little bit, so I just cut a little bit more off of the mouse in the front hill until it closed without issue, and that worked perfectly. As you can see there, he still has his little kite in his hand, and I'm just gluing that big coin right on top so it looks like he's showing his money. And then I thought, how am I going to glue this vellum banner? So I glued right onto the banner onto the front part and then used my little extra dollar to hide the glue. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side with the cloud. And that's a great way to add adhesive without, to add vellum without the adhesive showing. Next, I'm just going to use the rest of the clouds. I always have to do things in threes, so there has to be 3 clouds. So that's what I'm doing. I'm a little bit off camera. I'm very sorry. I do fix it in a minute once I add that last cloud. And I'm just going to add a few more of these coins. And then I try to figure out where I want the speech bubble to go. I originally wanted it, obviously, to come from a mouse, but I couldn't figure a good enough place for it. So I do end up placing it next to the money. And I like how that comes out. And I'm just going to add a little bit of glue right to that edge. And then the card is basically done. It says, "You're 1 in a million. Don't ever change," which I think is adorable and hysterical. Everything is attached with the glue, the little mouse and his pile of money. And then inside you can see all the mice celebrating that you're 1 in a million. I love the rainbow paper in the background and the pop of purple and yellow that are contrasting colors and just really make the whole thing exciting and bright and happy. And that's the card, and hopefully the recipient feels like they're 1 in a million when they get this card. This was so easy to make, so fun to make, and I cannot wait to see what you come up with. Thanks so much for joining me today, and be sure to check out the card up on the Lawnfawn blog. Have a great day. Bye.